Chautauqua very late. It's English a half length in front. Can he do it? Chautauqua, he's flying. Yes, there's history. Chautauqua makes it 3 in a row.
Hello and welcome back. This is now episode 3 of the Pure Punters podcast. I'm Jared Smith, joined again with my co-host Mitch Cook. And for the third week in a row, we're going to bring you the best of sport, the best of racing, the results from the previous week, and just have a shitload of fun doing it. Mitchie, good to have you again, mate.
Yeah, good to be back, mate. Absolute ripper of a day today, and pretty keen to rip and tear into some good races this weekend.
Exactly. Last week, we had a pretty good week there. First week of our staking plan and that. But first of all, just hit me. What were your highlights and lowlights of the weekend?
Absolute highlight of the weekend, mate, has to be Very Elegant. Man, what a run that was. As usual, the track at Randwick was horrendous after about 3 minutes of rain. Doesn't take much these days. Thank God we're out of there this weekend. Elegant, man, just a pure winner. Absolutely. Off to Melbourne now. Absolutely loved her response when J-Mac pulled her back to the rail. Was a little bit worried when he did. Thought she may fight him off after he pulled her so harsh. But, man, she's kicked away, and absolutely beautiful ride that was. Going to be a good battle between her and Zaki if it gets wet. If it's dry, I still think Zaki's a class above. But yeah, if we get a wet track on the day, I think it could be quite a tight race. Other highlight for me, UFC card. I bagged it last week saying it was one of the worst cards of the year, and it actually ended up quite a decent card. We went 4 from 4 on the card. Anthony Smith made light work of Span in the main event. I expect him maybe one more win, and he'll probably be asking for a title shot again. So good on him. Good to see. He's an absolute legend of a bloke, so he deserves it. Low light. Well, our boys were a low light. Manchester City, 0-0 to Southampton. Not ideal. 3-unit loss. Not ideal either. It'd be between them and Penrith. Penrith without Toto just look absolutely gutless trying to gain metres. I know he's a winger. They don't tend to be all and end all, but the metres he gains coming out of their own half especially, it goes a long way for that team offensively. Yeah, that was me, mate. That was my weekend summed up. Overall, it was all right. Come out, made a whole 1 unit, so nothing to brag about, but hey, no harm done. So we'll move on to this week. How about yourself, mate? I've seen you had a couple of nice juicy ones on Saturday, Arvo.
Mate, you know, I am one to talk about myself, and when I'm hot, I'm shit hot. But my highlights for the weekend weren't really like my wins that I had. It was like I'm on the same path as you there, like Very Elegant. Now, like 9 Group 1s, like phenomenal mare. Just that Hot Speed by Riadini, which we got to place at a good price for you guys. Did exactly what we thought it'd do. We'd put the Hot Speed on, try and hold on, but class prevailed with the big girl there. She just looks really good going into the Turnbull now, down in Melbourne, and then see if she goes Cox Plate path or Caulfield Cup path, where she ends up. We'll see. I don't think Connections will take her again to the Melbourne Cup like they did last year. I think that was sort of just a once-off. But another really good highlight for me. It wasn't a winner. It wasn't anything like that. It was just the return of Rothfire. I thought for him to come back after a year off, most other horses wouldn't even be able to come back, let alone come back to the quality of race he went first up into. Wasn't disgraced at all. He doesn't really like the wet ground, but to really only finish a few lengths off the race that Eduardo and Nate just really had wrapped up in the bag earlier. I thought it was really, really good training performance there by the Heathcote stable. And I think
I was quite impressed by him too.
Yeah, he's
absolutely, mate.
He looks big. He looks strong. I think just that little bit of extra condition he was carrying now, he'll lose that, and I'd like to see him second up. So I think he's one to follow. My low light, I think it's Anastasia Palaszczuk. She locked me out of Queensland last Saturday. Best Bet went down. A couple of other horses I liked went down. The Flukes 50 was let down up there. She did not grant me a border pass to come in on Saturday. Anastasia just said, nope, you're a cockroach, turn back around. It's cane toads only up here. So, look, I'm happy with Gladys. She's my girl. But Anastasia, this one's a bit of a fuck you. So, look, we don't worry about what last week was now, but I will gloat. 13.5 units for me. 1.18 for you off our 20 unit stake. So we didn't lose any money, but we're also not going to buy that house on Merriweather Beach either. But this week we're back again, same sort of deal. We've all got our 20 units again, and hopefully we spread them. We've got AFL Grand Finals. We've got really good Group 1 racing. We've got NRL prelims. It's all really going to heat up this weekend now at the business end of the year. So I can't wait to see what we've got to look forward to. We've got our first guest tipster this week. The big Swampy, who'll be joining us soon. I think we should kick off with the AFL though first for the grand final.
Yep, sounds good, mate.
Really good game. Melbourne play the Dogs. What do you see?
Yeah, look, first glance, I think I said last week on the pod, I was Melbourne a whole way through. I do think they're still the team to beat, clearly the best midfield in the league. It's just the historical stats between the two. That's what's worrying me. Dogs have won 3 of the last 4 games between the two. Their players just continue to step up. We keep writing them off. I've been writing them off every single finals game this year, and they just keep coming back and performing. And your boy Bailey Smith has been phenomenal. So I'm going to stick clear of picking a head-to-head. I'm going to throw together a little same-game multi on Neds. Both teams have had 2 weeks off now to refreshen up. I don't agree with it. I hate having it. You build your momentum for the season and then have a week off, and kind of, for us casual AFL fans, you definitely lose a little bit of interest waiting 2 weeks for the big day. So I've landed on either team 1 to 39. Ben Brown to score a goal, and your boy Bailey Smith to score a goal. I'm getting $3.72 on Neds. I'm going to have 1 unit on that, mate, just to pass time, keep us entertained, and get quite juicy odds for something that is very, very achievable.
Yeah, Super Saturday is around on Saturday, and I'm going to kick off with the AFL too. I think same sort of line you've gone on there. Like the Dogs, when they've been asked to, they just keep stepping up. But where's the sky for them? I sort of see where Melbourne, they've just been consistently strong. They came out a fortnight ago and really put the writing on the wall there. And I just think the game, it's going to be a really good game for spectators. It's going to be a class act. It's going to be great to watch. I'm going to be the same as you. I'm going to stay away from that sort of head-to-head. I'm going to go into the Norm Smith medal market. Ooh. I think there's a little bit of value. Exactly. You know, roll the dice. Dusty's not there, so he can't win it. But I think Clayton Oliver for Melbourne, really good form lines. He's $7. So I think for something like that, it's a little bit of a lucky dip, but I think it's $7. It's kind of worth 1 unit on. So I'm just going to have the 1 unit on that. And I'm going to have a beer in my hand and my feet up on the table, just watching that one. But good year of AFL. Happy to see a good grand final between 2 teams that deserve to be there. And hopefully we're the lucky ones that just get to sit back and watch.
Yeah, it'd be nice, mate. It would be nice.
Yeah, now we've got we'll go to the NRL. We've got our guest tipster, Swampy. If you're going to have a beer with a guy at the pub and get a tip off him, if his name's Swampy, you know you're just going to get around it. So we're just gonna let him in here, and hopefully technology plays its part. And we have him live.
There he is.
Swampy, welcome to the podcast, mate. He's just connecting.
Lads, how are we?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Hey,
welcome to the podcast.
Mate, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Nah, no dramas at all. Just do you want to let the guys out there know a bit about yourself, who you are, and we'll crack into it, eh?
Just a battler, boys. Just a battler, loves having a punt, like the best of us. NRL, some would have called me an expert back in the day, but just doing my best for NRL punting, like a bit of NFL golf, what's on. So it's a great time to be alive. Not so
mate,
much
thanks,
Melbourne, where I live.
Thanks to you, mate. I've definitely treated myself to quite a few meat pies thanks to you over the years, mate.
Yeah, the pie shop where we find a bit of NRL try scorer value, it's been a lot harder this year because the total points has been much more higher thanks to Peter V'landys and his wild new rules that all the bookies set the prices a lot lower. So it was a lot harder to find value this year, but we still managed to jag a couple of pies, and I reckon we might be able to have a few for the prelims this week.
Mate,
Absolutely,
well, that's it.
absolutely.
We'll kick off, I reckon, first game. We'll kick off with Melbourne and Penrith. Melbourne really dominant. They've had the week off. Penrith a little bit clunky last week. They still did get the job done. But how do you see this one, mate?
I really like the unders. I think it's a bet of the week for me. Panthers average about 11, 12 points all season scored against. And the Storm average about, it's gone up a little bit. I think it's around about 14 points average against. So they're the two best defensive teams in the comp. The old adage that defense wins championships. And everyone's just quick to think, well, the Storm score 40 points a game. You know, and the Panthers they're quite comfortable scoring 24, 28, whatever it gets done. So I think here that the Storm may not blow it out like a lot of people expect. And I don't think the Panthers are necessarily dead. I think the Storm win, but I think there's value in the Panthers plus 8.5. I marked it probably about 6.5. I can see even like 7. I can see a 19-12 or even if they cover the line, the Storm, which I'm sort of leaning towards a plus, but the main bet being under 41.5 now, you can get $1.95 about that. It's actually going up, whereas I've marked close to 36.5. So even if the Storm blow it out, it could be 24-10, 26-10, 28-12. You're still covering there. So the Storm have smashed them, but it's still an unders game. And I'll be shocked at half time if there's more than 3 tries in this match. You know, it's got at least, even if Panthers get blown out, at half time, I can see 12-10, 10-0, 10-4, or something like that. So I think the unders is a great bet. I think it's going the other way. Dog's just having a drink of water in the background. But yeah, so under 41.5, and surprisingly, it's going up rather than down. So you might be able to even wait till the jump, and you might, if it gets to 42.5, it could be a chips in your boys. Bet responsibly, of course. On
exactly.
Yeah, launch responsibly on the unders. And the other thing you spoke of the pie shot. The Storm, for as good as defensively as they are, their weakness is their right defensive flank. So I like a left winger always, is good value scoring against the Storm, which of course is Brian To'o. He's I'm pretty sure he'll play. He's listed in reserves in the 21 or 22 jersey. So you might have to wait until final teams are announced now before the match. But because Panthers are 8.5 point dogs, you can probably get, I can't even tell you now, I mean, you're probably getting 240, 250 about him to score a try, and Burton playing one inside him. You might be able to get about $3, $3.20, depending where you shop. That's good value for those boys for the pie shop.
Cook, how do you see that one, mate? You see it along the same form line there?
Yeah, literally everything I've written down here is pretty much the exact same. When markets opened last Saturday, the line was sitting at 5.5 across some books. That got my attention. With Toto most likely playing, like we just touched on, I think it's going to go a long way with getting Penrith out of their own half. I can't play it now that it's got out to your 9.5 for Storm. I do think Storm win, but I think it's going to be, like Swap touched on, a lot closer than a lot of people are suggesting. The unders has hit 3 in the last 5 games between these two teams. However, that doesn't account for finals, which you would expect to be a lot more defensive based. I couldn't settle on a best bet for me for this one. So I've just gone a little half unit same game multi just to keep the punters entertained and something to follow. Gone Storm head to head, the Fox to score, he should play, and under 41.5, you're getting $5.10 on Neds for that one.
You get pretty good value on the same game multis if you include a try scorer and the unders.
With the unders, yeah.
If someone scores a try, the overs shortens because there's 6 points or 4 points already on the board. So you actually get your price increases of the multi. If you put 2 try scorers, last week in the Panthers game, I doubled with Capewell and Burton anytime into the unders, and it was 8-6. So the unders was home from the get-go. Capewell scored early. So Burton going for a couple of grand. So he bombed it, but you're getting good value if you can have two meat pies into the unders, you're getting pretty good value there.
Exactly. It's just finding those moves in the market that you can get that value in. And that's where I think in Souths and Manly is where I'm going to find my bit of value. I'm going to stay away from the Melbourne Penrith game as a singles bet. But you've got Manly, the flat track bullies, as I like to call them, the Silver Tails. I'm not a big fan as being a Knights supporter myself. We've got the 97 in the background up there. But they take on South, the Wayne Bennett factor. Has he got them shining at the right time of year, or they're going to fall short in the prelims once again?
Is this for me?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you break us down there, Swamp.
I was going to say, it's good audio, boys. Nothing like a bit of silence on the podcast.
White noise, my favourite noise.
This happens when we started an hour earlier.
Personally, I find this one hard to pick. I marked a pick. I marked it a coin flip, to be honest. I understand the flat track bully. I've heard that a couple of times this week. But if you take, which is hard to take because it happened, but if you take away the South beating Penrith, which, to be honest, I think is just Wayne Bennett masterclass. I think if Wayne Bennett doesn't coach Bunnies, obviously, if Marnie had ball, it should be my uncle. But if Wayne Bennett didn't coach the Bunnies, that they don't beat Penrith last week. I think that was just almost in a way their grand final within the final series. Maybe as a loss, Penrith sort of had to have. But outside that game, South have been flat track bullies as well. This game was really hard to do form on because if you look at the last 8 or 9 games both teams have had since the second bye, they've both just beat up shit teams. And they've both scored 40 odd points. And you can score against these guys. I think Brad Parker might be out as well, so Sewell is into the centres. So Sewell and Morgan Harp are both pretty weak defensively. Cherry Evans, he couldn't tackle a cold in COVID, or COVID and cold, whatever you want. But so I think there's points to be had here. I sort of like the overs, but I think they're both flat track bullies. And then so I'm going to lean towards Turbo because he's the best player in the comp. I think the Storm are the only team good enough to stop Turbo, and they've proven that they're the only team who have stopped him. So Manly might have a bit of trouble if they make the grand final and face the Storm again. But I'm just going to no real bet. I think the value is Manly though because you're just putting all your chips in the best player in the comp basket.
Mate, exactly. That's the Turbo factor we might see shine there, but the Bennett in the war room before the game even kicks off, I think is going to have a lot to do with it. He got in Cleary's head before that, and they won the game before they went out. He's a prick, but he's been around long enough that he just knows the way to play it all. And I think personally, bit of Gran Torino in an afterlife, the old Bennett. But yeah, I'm going to take South. Same as you, though, in a coin flip. I think it's going to be tight, but I just think that shine that they may have from the Bennett factor, not necessarily the troops that are out there. I think they just get the wood on Manly. Mitchy boy?
Yes. I've gone back to the try scorers for this one. As pretty much everyone in this country that isn't a fan of either side cannot pick a winner. I can't remember the last time you got to see Alex Johnson above $1.60, $1.65, and Neds are throwing out $1.90 for Johnson anytime. It's absolutely no secret that South's left edge is the one to go. I am a little bit worried you've got no Latrell there. He does help with both being the target for Manly to defend and also throwing that cutout ball. Taff has stepped in and he's looked phenomenal. I've actually really enjoyed watching him. So $1.90 for Johnson anytime. I'm going to take for 3 units, mate. That's going to be my pick of the round and going into the Flukes 50 as well.
Yeah, I'm going to have
agree for you in Cookie, 3 units.
That's a lot of money, mate. A lot of money. If this loses, that meagering packet up there is looking damn tasty for Saturday.
Hey, do we show the refinancing of the home papers to the missus just yet, or do we leave them till after?
We'll touch base 9:30 Friday night, mate.
My spare room's always open. My bet for those 2 games, I'm going to have it into the AFL as well. I'm going to have Melbourne, and Souths just for 1 unit at $3.73 on Sportsbet. I find it's going to be a game where I'm just going to sit back and have a beer and just watch. It's going to be all 3 really good games. Hats off to whoever makes the grand final for NRL. and whoever makes it in the AFL and wins it, they've deserved it, because the last month, 2 months of footy, they've all played well. But Swamp, we've got a bit of a Flukes 50, mate, and you've been our first guest. We're going to give you the anchor leg, mate. So what are you going to lead us with, or bring us home with, as your best here?
Just best of the weekend.
Best in NRL.
Yeah,
what do you got?
Yeah, give me the unders. I'll take under. If you need a quote now, we'll take the under 41.5, $1.95 or thereabouts in the Storm Panthers game.
Beautiful, champion. Well, mate, we really appreciate a bit of time from you today. Look forward to a good weekend.
I've got nothing but time, boys. I've had nothing but time for 2 years.
Dictator Dan is looking after you well down there. We've got Annie Gladys who's just letting us run free. So
living the dream, boys.
I'm sitting here with no pants and undies on, and I'm sure that Victoria's been like that for about a year and a half now. So
yeah, mate,
we're good to 100%. Roll. But no, thanks for your time, mate. Appreciate it. And
good luck in the future, boys. Go hard.
Happy
thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Respect. See you, boys. Take care.
So that was great there, guys. First celebrity guest there, the Swamp. Really good inside knowledge there on the NRL. He's got us our anchor leg there for the Flukes 50. The unders on the Melbourne Penrith game that we'll touch on. But Mitchy boy, look, we've got a really shit hot weekend of racing coming up here. Friday, we start with the Moya Group 1 at Moonee Valley over the 1,000 metres. Profiteer, bit of a boom, 2-year-old, failed in the slipper, now comes back first up over the 1,000. Tight track of the Valley, looking to cement that really big dollar value at stud. How do you see this race, mate?
Yeah, tough race, mate. Tough race. Still a little bit unproven about Profiteer, but definitely does look the one to beat. Short race, so not too concerned about the distance, but I am worried about my main pick of the race, which was Wild Ruler. I think Wild Ruler is going to be absolutely flying when they come around that bend at Moonee. Only query is it's never run at Moonee, which for me personally, that's a huge factor at Moonee. 3 starts over the distance for a first and 2 seconds. I just think Wild Ruler is too good to leave out, but at the same time, I'm worried about Profiteer holding that lead. It should lead from start to finish. So to counter that, I'm going to go a box Quinella. I'm going to change things up a little bit.
Joe Exotic.
Yeah, well, I thought, I don't want to be sitting on Profiteer and watch it get pipped on the line, and I don't want to be on Wild Ruler and watch it just come short of Profiteer. So if the race plays out how I think it does, I think this is the bet to go. So I'm going to have a half unit on a boxed Quinella at, well, odds will quote at the end of the week when we'll see what it pays. So
exactly. I think, Profiteer, last year going into the slipper, he was the 2-year-old to beat. I'm not going to say he failed in the slipper. It was just too much pressure in that race to lead out the whole way, and it sort of just caught up with him in the end. I backed him on slipper day. I'm going to back him again here. He comes in with only 52 kilos. Jai McNeil, really good front running jockey, lightweight rider. Had a jump out about 10 days ago where he ran really quick, last 400 for a trial. I think the boys have got him nice and fit for the race. Like you said, it's going to be, can he sustain the run for the whole 1,000? Like the old adage, let fast horses run fast. It's going to be handlebars down, and off you go for them. Like you said, Wild Ruler was scratched from the shorts for this race, so that's an interesting decision from the stable. I just think it'll be too far back, and Ballistic Lover ran really well. First start at Track and Trip last time out, sat 2 pairs back and swamped over the top and looked a winner a long way out. And then you've got September Run, who's a really great filly, but she just seems to get too far back. I think no Craig Williams on board this time. It'd be interesting to see if the Waller camp try and run more forward, which I think is the way to ride her, because she's got that turn of foot, but she can also set a bit of a tempo. I don't expect her to lead, but if she can sit that 2 pairs back, sort of where Ballistic Lover will be, I think she's got the wood on Ballistic Lover. It'll just be if they can run down Profiteer. And then you got the Singapore horse Inferno, who last start had a nice win as well, sort of got the monkey off the back with the first Aussie win, and you could sort of say this is his Everest audition because there's been a bit of hype around him. I think the 1,000 might be that little bit short.
Yeah, he's my big question mark for this race, mate. This is the one I'm worried about, to be honest. Only because it is really a question mark. We don't know what to expect and could come out here and shit on us all and win by 3 lengths. But
mate, exactly. That's it. Like, you could run this race 5 different times and have 5 different winners, but I'm going to stick with Profiteer. He's young. He is up against the older horses, but I think there's just that shine factor. And I think 2.5 units at $4 for Profiteer is a pretty good bet for me. But I also have another one for you, Mitchy boy. I got another Friday hot tip. I got a bit of early
treat in the boys.
I know how you like your Australian bloodstock horses. I know how you like a bit of early mail, and I know how you like having a bet on a Friday. I've got a horse that was with Les Bridge down in Sydney, absolute legend. It was meant to go to Hong Kong, but it didn't end up eventuating. So Bon Ho has now moved it on. It comes up at Scone in race 4 tomorrow. It's currently $6.50. It opened at 9s and it's already into $6.50. It does come up against the Kosciuszko holder in Nataraja, who's $1.95, who absolutely pissed it in last start over the track and trip. But I think Absolute Legends held its own in like class 2, pretty solid races down in Sydney. I think Cody Morgan's going to have the polish on Absolute Legend here that $6.50, it's going to be worth 1.5 unit play. So I know how we like that. Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing that one, Rob.
Yeah, something to kill a bit of time with on Friday. You know, there's not much going on around at the moment. So if we can bring a sneaky little lunchtime bet in, Scone's the tip tomorrow. But then we move to Sandown on Saturday they haven't had a Group 1 there in 25 years. And in my opinion, it should be 26 because this year the Underwood is not a Group 1. You've got Zaki, $1.28 favourite now, coming from $1.40. The race is riddled with scratchings. I see he jumps, he leads, and it's by how far. That's all I see. I'm not having a bet. It's not even a Group 1 in my eyes. And as you can tell, I've got nothing else to say.
Yeah, well, look, mate, I'm going to take it. Not head-to-head. It's way, way too short to touch. We have possibly one of the greatest Saturdays of sport and racing the year we'll see this weekend. So to set that off, if you don't have a lot of money to punt with or you just want something to tie over for the day, I've put together a little Super Saturday multi, mate.
Give it
just a 1-unit play. Just a 1-unit play, but it'll cover, we're going to go Zaki to kick it off in race 7 at the Underwood Stakes. As you said, it'll lead from start to finish. It'll take an absolutely brilliant run or a freak accident. Another earthquake. We need another earthquake for Zaki not to win on Saturday. Like, it just wins. I'm going to roll that into Melbourne head-to-head in the NRL, the Storm. Too scared to touch the line. I do think Penrith are going to be tough, but I can't see a way that Melbourne don't win. That into an AFL same-game multi of Dogs plus 39.5 into Bailey Smith and Benny Brown to kick a goal. And then we'll wrap that up with 2 cracking games of EPL at 9:30. If you're still kicking, if you're still awake at that time. We've got Manchester United versus Aston Villa. We're going to take United 1+ goal, 3+ corners, and Aston Villa 2+ corners. And to round the multi out, we're going to have Manchester City versus Chelsea. Probably the 2 best sides in the league clashing. It's going to be an absolute ripper of a game. I don't think we'll see many goals. We genuinely do get low-scoring games. Probably the 2 best defenses in the league. I've got Chelsea and City. The total match goals to be between 1 and 4. So we need a goal in the game, and we can't have any more than 4. City to have 4+ corners, and Chelsea to have 2+ corners. So for that multi, we're getting $6.10 on Bet365. Going to have 1 unit just to tie us over for the whole day. Probably a little bit confusing to listen to that whole thing. So we're going to put up a little Instagram post tomorrow breaking down all of our units. We're both going to have separate posts explaining where our units are going, so you don't have to listen too closely. You can go back, have a look over, find the odds, find the markets, and follow it that way.
Hey, I'm just excited that you've just given me a bet from scrambled eggs to Sam Booker in the night. That's, in my eyes, perfect day there. I've gone from pajamas to no pants, and I've still got a bet the whole way. But then we go to a race 8 at Sandown, the Testarossa Stakes. Arguably a lot better company than what the Group 1 is. Like, I could saddle myself up and I could run in the Underwood Group 1 for the prize money, even though I could only run third. But the Testarossa, we see Ironclad, another Australian bloodstock horse. Resumed a few weeks ago, was found lame, but previously to that was undefeated in its Australian career. We've got a bit of form from Sydney with King of Hastings and from Queensland and Sydney with King of Hastings and Hightail. So it's a bit of an Australia-wide one, this one. How do you see it going down?
Yeah, it's a no bet for me in this race, mate. It will be a good race. I just could not find an angle at all whatsoever. There's been no money come for anything really. It's since the market's opened, everything stayed pretty stagnant. You've got the favourite go from 350 to 340. Other than that, nothing's actually come in. Hightail has been a little money, 11 into 9s, but it's a tough race, and I didn't want to force anything. I cannot see. I wanted to be the bloodstock, but unproven distance track. Sandown can be a tricky track to run at. Yeah, for me, mate, I just stood clear. I could not separate this race. So hoping that you have something to give the punters to keep them entertained, mate.
Yeah, I'm taking the black, white and blue bloodstock. I'm having Ironclad to bounce back. $5.50 is a good price. I wouldn't take it any shorter. I'm only going to have 1 unit on it, but I think Sandown is a beautiful track in Victoria. It should never be sold like there's talks of. And I just want to see Ironclad bounce back to the form that we saw earlier in the year. Like, I just put that first up run as a bit of a forgive. He was scratched before that start another race for a minor issue. And I just think now, second up, he's going to be primed. And at $5.50, I wouldn't take any shorter, but I think he can bounce back. So I'm just going to have the sneaky 1 unit, and we'll see how that one rolls in.
Oh, of all of them you could have picked, mate, I'm glad you picked Owen so I can actually celebrate it.
Yeah, exactly. But the better news of the weekend, we're out of Kembla, we're out of Randwick, we're back to Rosehill, we're in the West, we're Golden Pendant, Golden Rose, we've got the Group 1. It's going to be a great day of racing, a track that hasn't seen much action lately. Hopefully plays nice and fair. I'm going to kick off with the Golden Pendant for us. It's a race that's sort of riddled with scratchings at the moment. It's not an overly large field. And I think that's mainly with Entriviere. Last start, the Tiakau horse absolutely looked a mint in the yard. Comes to the bigger track now, McDonald Sticks. McDonald rode track work on a Thursday before its last start, which he never does, just to go out to ride this horse. 235, it's come up here. It is a bit short, but I think at that 235, there's still enough meat on the bone. So I'm going to have 3 units on Trivier to win and hope she can just hold out.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. I do agree, mate. I think it is the one to beat quite clearly. I have gone from not betting in this race to I'm going to have a little half a unit stab. I've got my number 4, Nimalee. Gets Rachel King on board. It was my pick from the start. I just am a little bit worried about the favourite there. But if anything's going to beat it, I think Nimalee is the one to do it. 3 starts over the distance, 2 wins, 4 starts at the track, 2 wins and a second. She comes in second up, 3 starts, a win, a second. It's just, the form reads good. It did run, settled 4th last start at Kembla, but got stuck. As we know, Kembla can do. It can be quite hard to find a run. Hoping this time it'll settle just off pace. Rachel King will be good enough to get it out at Rosehill. So yeah, still getting it at $9 on 365. I just think it's a bit overs, mate. It's already into $7.50 on Sportsbet. So at $9, I'm going to have 1 unit on Nimalee.
Yeah, nice. I like it. Yeah, I just think on Trivia is just going to be too hard to beat, and that's why my larger punt's on it. But then we go to the Golden Rose. We've got Animo. Last start silenced us. Ran super out of his skin. He's definitely cemented his career at stud now. Can he get that next Group 1, the Golden Rose? $1.90 he opened. It's fluctuated here and there a bit. Last I looked was $2.95 on Sportsbet, but the market's still sort of sorting itself out. I'm going to stay away. I know Artorias cost us boys the Flukes 50 last start, but I think he can bounce back here. He's now third up after two. I'll say one unlucky second and 1 second. As much as I'd like to make more excuses, I won't. But I think at $2.90 a place, Artorias is just too hard to pass up. So I'm going to have 2 units at $2.90 a place. I do expect Animo to win. He's just all class oozes it. Hyalal comes up out of that Melbourne form line as well. I think the blinkers on last start sort of just over raced a little. I'm not going to say he wins the race, but I think he would have went a bit closer than what he did. I'm also going to have half a unit at 41s on Hyalal to win, just as a bit of a throw at the stumps there. Remark I like, but sort of hit a flat spot at the 1100 meters last start. Just sort of didn't stretch out. So I'm just going to stick with 2 units on Artorias the place at 290 and half a unit on Hyalal at 41s. Yourself?
Yeah, look, that 41s will be nice if it comes in, mate. No one will be complaining with that. Same as last time. I was all for Animo, but it just won't get my money. I still think it wins this, but I just can't touch it so short. It's just not my type of thing. I've gone to the 13, mate. Startontes, pronounce it how you want. I've got no idea. Heathcote's paid 37.5 grand to get her in this race. So I don't know how much money all these punters have at home, but that's not the type of coin you just splash around if you don't think it can do something. She comes in here, pretty good form line of 3 wins in the last 3 starts, gone for 4 in a row. I'm not going to take it to win. I don't want to back against Animo. I think that Startonte will get the ride on the back of Animo. When Animo pulls out, you'll see Startonte follow it. And then to your point, I do think Artorias is going to follow both of them out. I think it'll be our 3 horses pulling out from behind, taking over the leaders and battling out the finish. I'm going to stick with Startonte for a place. We are getting $4.20, which I think is pretty juicy for a place in a fairly short field. A lot of good horses. It will be tough, but I'm going to take it to place at $4.20, mate, for 1 unit.
Yeah, very nice. And then, look, we said Anastasia let us back in. So we're knocking on the door. Might get that border pass approved. We're going to have a quick look at the Toowoomba Cup, the feature meeting there. Traditionally, home track horses at Toowoomba do run well. So I'm just going to have a little play here on Mayvilla Ruler at 26 and 650. And I'm going to have half a unit just on the win. But I'm also going to have a sneaky bet here on He Runs Away. The Waller horse, very consistent, known at the distance. I just think at $10 and $3.30 a place, I'm going to have a unit each way and just play it from there. Yourself?
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a throw at the stumps kind of race. Nothing you would be loading up more than a unit or 2 unless you have the inside word out in the depths of Toowoomba. I've landed on the number 2, mate, Wapiti. Been performing in much better company in Doomben, building up to the distance. His place from his 1 start over this distance, tough race. I just think the 460 is generous. I think it should probably be the favourite, if not equal favourite. I'm just going to have 1 unit, mate, on Wapiti number 2 to win. Pretty good record, good place record, not the best win record, but something's got to step up, and there's absolutely no reason it can't be this. 1 for the punters at home. No official tip. Just if you're bored, you've got an extra $1 or 2 in your account and you want to make the Toowoomba Cup interesting, I'm going to have a little fun box trifecta of the 2, 6, 8 and 10. Just a little extra for you. Round the account out, but we'll see how it goes, eh?
Exactly. I think we've covered a nice book of races there. We've covered the NRL. We've covered the AFL. As we do each week, we're going to head overseas. Give us just a quick little EPL update where we're sitting and what we want here for the guys that are going to sit up late and watch these ones.
Yeah, Chelsea, big win last week against Tottenham. Tottenham, the wheels have fallen off. They have had a few injuries to their credit. As a City fan, it hurts to say, especially when we play this week, but I do think Chelsea are the team to beat this year. Front to back, their squad is just unbelievable. Seem to be playing well. Manager has them all believing. Unlike Chelsea of the past, well, other than when Mourinho was there, other than the Chelsea of the past, they're playing a very defensive style, but they're not grinding games out 0 or 1-0. They're putting 3 on teams and happy to sit back after that. So they're quite entertaining to watch. I'm a bit worried the City and Chelsea game this week won't be that exciting to watch. I think it will be a very defensive battle. I'm not going to, other than our Super Saturday multi, which you don't really need to tune in to watch, I'm going to stick clear of that game. I've got 2 singles and a multi this week, mate. First single is Brentford versus Liverpool. And only one or neither team to score. Liverpool are way too good defensively. They've only conceded 1 goal all season. And Sportsbet are giving us $1.91 for either neither team or just Liverpool to score. Or, God forbid, somehow Brentford score and Liverpool don't. I'm going to have 2 units on that at $1.91. Then go to Watford versus Newcastle. Newcastle have been entertaining to watch but can't defend to save their lives. They've got St. Maximum up front who, if he could put together a season of the form he was in last week, you'd have Madrid, PSG, everyone chasing him. He's phenomenal when he's in form, but he's just hot and cold. I don't think either sides will sit back in this game. Newcastle don't know how to. They try and outscore teams. That's all they can do. So I'm going to take 2 units on both teams to score at $1.80. And then to round the EPL weekend out, I've got a little 3-leg multi, mate. The following 3 games to be over 1.5 goals. So we're going to have United versus Villa, Everton versus Norwich, and Leeds versus West Ham. You're getting $1.96 on Neds for that. We're going to have 2 units. All 6 teams in that 3-leg multi, their games are averaging a minimum of 3 goals each game. So relatively safe. Just need 2 goals in each game, any side, any time, whatever. $1.96 for 2 units, mate. That's my EPL wrap.
Yeah, nice. I can guarantee you my head will be on the pillow for all of those games. So I'm going to stay away from England. UFC, though, not a bad card this weekend. Have you got two or three bests there?
Not a bad card. That is one of the best cards of the year. Yes. So we finally see the return of Nick Diaz. It's been a very long time in the making. No one has a clue what to expect. I've been watching forums and people argue that he's the GOAT of the division, and you got others on Lawler who think he's the GOAT of the division. It's going to be go back and forth, and no one can have a solid answer until they do both step in the ring on their returns. Both guys aging very quickly. Both guys been in way too many wars. Both guys probably won't be able to walk and talk by 50 at this rate. I'm going to go fight does not go the distance here, mate. The bookies got it priced at $2.20 on Neds. I don't know if they realise or not this is a 5-round fight. So it's been confirmed it's 5-minute rounds, which is unusual for not a title fight. These bookies still only have markets for 3 rounds. So they've only got to win up to round 3. So I think we're getting an early price there because they don't realise you got an extra 10 minutes for a finish. I don't think these guys will be able to handle blows to the head like they used to. Both coming off long layoffs, both struggling to make weight. They've actually had to change it to a middleweight fight. Yeah, for a 5-round fight, you're giving me $2.20 for one of them to land one decent strike. I'll take it. 2 units on that one, mate, at $2.20. Then go to Curtis Blades versus Giselle Rosenstruck. Not that the punters here would probably know, but I could not be more against Rosenstruck if I tried. I think he's the most overrated fighter in the division. One-trick pony. He has a good knockout power. Other than that, he gets hit. He can't move. His feet are slower than anything. Just average. Curtis Blades was on track for a title fight. Got caught by that famous uppercut from Derek Lewis. It was a tough one to swallow, but that happens, man. It's heavyweight UFC. things don't go to script. Blades fighting out of Elevation Fight Team Colorado. He's 14-3. 4 of his last 5 knockout wins have been second round finishes. I expect the first round to be a bit of a feel out. Blades may come out a little bit hesitant after the last knockout loss, but once he finds his feet, I think he's going to take Rosenstruck down, where he's shown he has no defense, and just ground and pound into a finish. So half a unit on Blades by second round finish at $6 on Neds. And then going back to what fed us last week, mate, we're going to go to a UFC multi. I'm going to have 3 units on this one, mate. All right.
Nice, big one.
To it. Sorry, 2.5 units. I went out, mate. I had to put a little half unit elsewhere. I'm going to take Blades head-to-head for reasons I just accounted for. Just going to take him head-to-head in case he does come out hesitant and doesn't want to throw himself in to get knocked out, but he'll still pick him apart on the feet. Semmelsberger to beat Sano. Semmelberger is 8-3. His last loss was to Chaos Williams, which is not a bad loss at all. Sano is by far the least talented fighter on the roster. He is awful. The only reason he is there is because he's part of Nick Diaz's crew. If he wasn't there, Dana wouldn't answer his phone. $1.25, you're going to have him to throw into a multi. He should be $1.01. If it was any other sport in this form line, he would be $1.01. So Semmelsberger in with Blades, and to round the multi out, we're going Jalen Turner versus Medic, the fight not to go the distance. Absolutely huge fan of Jalen Turner. Had a beer with him in Melbourne for the UFC last year, actually. He was a legend, him and Maki Patolo. Great fighter, can get caught though. That's his biggest flaw. Absolutely phenomenal striker, but he tends to get caught, get choked. Just hard to watch. Medic has never gone the distance in his UFC career. Turner's only gone the distance 2 times in his 15 pro fights. So that's the final leg in the multi. That fight not to go the distance. We're getting $2.52 on Neds for that with 2.5 units, mate. That's my UFC card.
I think that's a really good bet there on the UFC. It's going to be a good card. Sit back on a Sunday after we have that Super Saturday of football, racing, AFL, anything that you can bloody run or kick, and then finish it off with a few blokes punching the shit out of each other. It's going to be pretty bloody good. But my around the ground, my best bet of the weekend, I'm staying out of Queensland. Anastasia said no. I'm going to hang out back in Sydney in the hot zone, back at Rose Hill, race 5. I've got Paul Ely, the Godolphin horse. More or less, James Cummings has come out about maybe a month ago and said really that Anamo's not going to be their nomination for the Everest. I don't think ingratiating will be, and trekking is about 300 years old in the sun and the shade. So I'm going to take Paul Ely at $3. I think 5 units on that. It's more or less warm-up run here for the Everest, I see it as. Others might see it differently. But I think 5 units at $3, that's my best bet for the week. And for the Flukes 50, that will be my leg as well. So there's my nomination for the leg. Do you want to give everyone the odds and run them through what we've got?
Yep. So this week, mate, sticking with the 3 legs, our best around the grounds, plus our absolute legend of the first guest, Swampy. So you've got Paul Ely to win. We're getting $2.90 on Neds. Alex Johnson, anytime scorer, $1.90 on Neds. And under 41.5, Storm and Penrith, $1.90. Altogether, mate, we get a $9.91 before a boost on Neds. So that's our multi, mate. 3 legs, hopefully nice and easy, hopefully simple. Let's bring one home for the punters, for the punt clubs, and everyone involved.
Get the nudie run off the board. We'll post that Flukes 50 up for you guys. But in the meantime, don't forget, give us a follow on Instagram. Give us a shout out. We're on Twitter. We're on bloody YouTube. We're on Mars. We're bloody everywhere at the moment. We're drinking Steel Cities. We're backing Bloodstock horses. We're Newcastle through and through. Mitchie, it's going to be a great weekend, mate, of sport. Wish we could be there together for a beer with each other for it. But look, hopefully all you guys at home have as good a weekend as we're planning. And always gamble responsibly and bet within your means.
Absolutely, mate. A couple more weeks and we'll be doing these live on the couch next to each other. A couple of beers under the belt. Backing home winners like we do, mate.
Mate, exactly. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week again for episode 4. We'll have another celebrity tipster. Can't guarantee that they're going to be as insightful as the big fella Swampy we had there. Knowledge is king, and he is sure full of that. So thanks heaps, guys. We'll see you next week. Check in on the socials to see our bets, and have a good weekend. Cheers.
See you, mate.